In 2022, China, formerly the most populous country in the world, recorded a decline in its population. That marks the beginning of China losing its position as the most populous country to India. But was China's population what we knew it to be? Or were there lies about the numbers from the start?
Shifting focus to China, where the country is bracing for another drop in birth numbers this year, despite a small uptick in 2024.
The world's peak population has reduced from 10.4 billion to 10.3 billion. This isn't the first occasion the UN has lowered its population forecast. In 2019, the organisation estimated that the global population would peak at nearly 11 billion, with growth continuing into the 2100s. Why the reduced numbers in China? China is a significant contributing factor to this downgrade. In January 2023, for the first time since 1961, China announced a decline in its population. The number had shrunk by about 850,000 people. Then, the UN predicted that the nation's population could drop by 45% by 2100, from the current 1.4 billion to 771 million. Now, the UN has revised its estimate for 2100 to 633 million. This reduction of 138 million people is nearly equivalent to Russia's current population of 144 million. It also exceeds Japan's current population of 125 million. Was this really a population decline, or had China not been honest about its population from the beginning? According to the UN, the decrease is linked to the UN's assumptions regarding the childbirth rates among women in China. For over 30 years, China's fertility rate has fallen below the replacement level of approximately 2 children per woman. What can be blamed for this? The one-child policy in the country. Therefore, the leaders did what every other person would do: remove the ban so people can have more children. When China lifted its one-child policy in 2016, which had been in effect since 1980, the government anticipated a rebound in fertility rates. However, these rates continued to decline instead. The government's recent pro-natalist initiatives, which encourage couples to have 3 children, have not produced any noticeable impact on birth rates. In fact, the fertility rate has fallen to an extremely low level of just 1 child per woman. China went as far as implementing incentives and using media to encourage young people to start families. Still, the result wasn't what they expected.
The country wants women to have a lot more than just 1 baby, preferably 3. In fact, the Chinese government is now offering incentives to Chinese families to encourage them to have more children.
For most of the Chinese population, what stops them from starting a family or desiring multiple children is deeper than what a simple policy shift can change. Imagine being told all your life that having multiple children was illegal. All you see is a one-child or no-child household. Then boom, the government comes up with a new policy and expects everyone to have 2 or more children. Above that, the responsibility of starting a family, caring for aged parents, and finding their footing in a communist community is too much of a burden to add multiple children to. As a result, around 50% of the Chinese population is aged 65 and older, a figure that has tripled since 1990. In the upcoming 25 years, this proportion is projected to double to 30%. Sad, but true. Dr. Yi Fuzhan from the University of Wisconsin is a specialist in Chinese demographics. He has been a vocal opponent of the nation's one-child policy. He has been investigating the accuracy of China's population assertions, and his findings are troubling. Yi estimates that China's actual population is overstated by at least 130 million. In a recent published monograph, Yi highlights numerous inconsistencies within China's current and previous census data. An example is the mandatory tuberculosis vaccination China imposes on all newborns. The vaccination figures were consistent with official birth statistics